Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Carrie Anselmo, and I teach the orchestra at Caruso Middle School. The purpose of this evening's meeting is to familiarize you with the many benefits and participation in our 109 Elementary Instrumental Music Program. During tonight's meeting, we will introduce our staff. We will hear demonstrations from our middle school students on each instrument, hear the perspective of a fifth grade band and orchestra parent, the structure and design of the current band and orchestra program, and the process of selecting the instrument, the oh so exciting part. This webinar will be recorded, and questions relevant to information on each slide will be addressed, and we'll also have a Q&A at the end of the conclusion of this presentation. Thank you for your interest this evening, and let's get started.
I'm Terry Grossberg. I'm the department chair for instrumental music in Deerfield 109. I'm also the band director at Caruso Middle School.
Hi, my name is Nina Bowie, and I am the long-term sub for Emily Dykema, and I am currently teaching band at Shepard Middle School.
I'm Carrie Anselmo, and I teach orchestra at Caruso Middle School.
I'm Aimee Biasiello, and I'm the orchestra director at Shepard Middle School.
I'm Mike Schwartz. I am the elementary band director at both Kipling and Walden Elementary.
My name is Mr. Zmuda, or Matt Zmuda, and I am the band director at South Park and Wilmot Elementary.
Hi, I'm Eric Friel, and I'm the orchestra director at all of our elementary schools. So some housekeeping items for tonight. We won't be using the raise hand feature in the chat, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask those in the question and answer box throughout our presentation. We'll do our best to answer them as we go, and we'll have an open discussion at the end.
So as an overview, as you know, we usually make this presentation in person when your child would have been at the end of their third grade year. But since all this stuff has happened, we've had to kind of adjust. So welcome to our inaugural first online webinar for this. Instruction is offered in grades 4 through 8. There are no prerequisites for fourth graders who will be fifth graders next year. So you don't need to know anything about how to play an instrument before you start. I just want to let you know that kids who are struggling with school or heavily involved in several extracurricular activities should consider the decision to join band and orchestra carefully. This is an extra class. But on the other hand, I don't want to scare you off. All of the musicians you're about to hear are in other activities inside and outside of school, but they also make time for instrumental music practice. So in the past, your students are used to seeing and hearing us at concerts, etc. I know we didn't have any this year, but they've been around for a few years at their schools, so they know what our ensembles sound like. So some instruments are more familiar, others less so, but no less significant. We need all different types of instruments and all different types of kids to be in our bands and orchestras. Tonight's demonstration is to further aid parents and students in the selection of their instrument. All the kids you'll hear tonight are 109 band and orchestra students who have developed their skills in our program. So while we aim to make band and orchestra an enjoyable, fun experience, our primary goal is education. Using our many years of combined experience as a staff, plus an adherence to national standards, we have designed a comprehensive curriculum which will sequentially bring your child from musical infancy to, in many cases, musical excellence in just a few short years, as evidenced by the performances you will hear in just a few moments.
Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the string family. All 4 instruments in the string family are made of wood. All 4 instruments have 4 strings, and all 4 instruments use a masterfully crafted stick, or bow as we call it, adorned with horse's hair. No horses are harmed in the process, to pull sound from these instruments of varying sizes. We will listen to them in order from smallest to largest, starting with the violin.
Hi, I'm Rachel Over and I play the violin in the 8th grade orchestra at Shepard Middle School. One popular question while picking an instrument is whether I can participate in other activities while also playing an instrument. This is certainly the case. In my past 3 years at Shepard, I've played in the chamber orchestra, which is an after-school activity, done math counts, young authors, and the chess club, while also being part in other activities outside of the school. Now I'll be playing an excerpt from a piece that I've been working on for a concert, so that you can hear the wonderful sounds of the violin. This is Vivaldi's Concerto for Violin in A minor, his first movement. Please consider choosing the violin as your choice for an instrument. Thank you.
And now the viola, played by Tommy.
Hi, my name is Tommy and I am in 7th grade and I play the viola. Outside of that, I am a brown belt in karate and I play baseball. And the reason you should join orchestra is because it is a lot of fun and you can meet tons of new people.
And the cello, played by Jessica.
Hi, my name is Jessica and I play the cello. Inside of school, I do chamber, orchestra, and debate. Outside of school, I play the piano, dance, and do taekwondo. So I'll be playing the Bach Prelude.
And last but not least, Darwin on the bass.
Hello, my name is Darwin, and I play the bass in the 8th grade orchestra at Shepard. The important thing to note about orchestra is that it does not take away from other opportunities outside of school. For example, I myself participated in multiple sports and clubs, and I never found that it took away from my practice time outside of school. Additionally, you do not need to neglect activities just because you are part of orchestra. That is a common misconception. I'm now going to play for you an excerpt from Legionary. Thank you for watching, and I hope you choose the bass.
I'd like to take a moment now to share with you some information about how we program the lessons and ensembles in our program. So we'll begin with talking about the weekly small group lesson. This has been something in the program that was in pre-COVID times. This has been something that's been functioning since we've returned to school and what we anticipate beginning in the fall as well. So every student has a small group lesson once a week for 30 minutes. And these students are with like instrument individuals who work together and work on individual musicianship, but also performing together as a small group. The schedule has the lesson rotating each week to a different part of the day, ensuring that students do not miss the same section of a subject or the same part of their school day twice back to back in their schedule. Now, the next part of this as well is the ensemble rehearsal that is a feature at both the elementary and middle school programs. Now, during our COVID world right now, this is something that we are currently not doing in the elementary setting. This is just something that we don't have the capability to do with our space, as well as with our guidelines that we are adhering to. So we look forward to instilling this in the future, as this has been a really important part of the program for students to build the ability to perform as an ensemble and to work on things that aren't quite possible to do when performing individually. Just like their pull-out lessons, this is a 30-minute experience that operates during common times, such as before school or lunch recess. And depending on what school, the start date to this may differ, but we usually like to instill this early in the school year once a student has a couple of weeks under their belt and can function individually and independently in the rehearsal. Like I said, this is on hold for the moment, but we are looking forward to putting this in as soon as we are able to. During this time, we are operating our small group lessons, and these are some of the COVID mitigations we have put in place to make that an option for our current climate. So right now, all of our lesson groups are restricted in their size. We've got no more than 2 to 3 students per lesson group. In the band, we have musician face masks, as well as instrument bell covers that act for when we perform, just like our masks do as we talk in a setting. So we are wearing that instrumental PPE. On the orchestra side, there is no use of the air of the person to make a sound, so it is simply sanitizing, disinfecting with hand sanitizer during and before the lesson, as well as after. We've got plexiglass dividers, 6 or more feet of social distancing, as well as air purifiers during our lessons. And this is the guidance we've been following since we've begun this in-person lesson procedure this spring, and we are looking forward to operating with this in the fall if necessary, and then removing this when it's applicable once we see the guidance for that.
All right. So now I would like to introduce you to the woodwind family of instruments. This is the first family that we're going to talk about in the band. So this is 3 different instruments from the woodwind family. Here we have flute, clarinet, and saxophone. Now, woodwinds are generally characterized by a lighter, more reedy sound, and that might be due to the fact that most of the woodwind instruments use a reed in order to make the sound. The reed vibrates very fast, creating the sound. However, there is one instrument here that does not use a reed, and that is the flute. The flute is a little bit different, but is still characterized as a woodwind due to the fact that it used to be made of reed. So first, we'd like to listen to Kayla playing the flute.
Hello, my name is Kayla. I'm in 7th grade and I play the flute. In my free time, I like to read, draw, and dance.
And next is a reeded instrument. This is the clarinet as performed by Noah.
Hi, my name is Noah and I'm in 8th grade and I play the clarinet. Outside of school, I play soccer and I'm learning JavaScript and I take sign language classes. And I'm gonna play some music from the Pirates of the Caribbean.
And next we have the saxophone as performed by Eric. This is another one of our single reeded instruments.
My name is Eric Jacques. I'm in 8th grade and I play the alto sax. I've been playing band since 4th grade. Yeah, guys, it's genuinely really fun. Like, you guys would be surprised at how fun it actually is. It's really fun. And yeah, I hang out with friends 5 times I play soccer 5 times a week, hang out with friends a few times a week. And yeah, guys, band has not gotten in the way with any of it, not once. So, I'll be playing a piece called Aria by Willis Goggins, so we'll see how that goes.
Now, I'm excited to tell you about the benefits of joining one of our band or orchestra programs here at DPS 109. In addition to the benefits you may expect, like making lasting friendships or increased leadership opportunities, what stands out to me is the community you'll be joining through learning an instrument. Students have the opportunity to not only form relationships with students from their own school through our programs, but also from their sister school. So for example, if your child attends Kipling, they would interact with students from Walden. And if your child attends South Park, they would interact with students from Wilmot and vice versa. They also will have opportunities to interact with their middle school band or orchestra teachers while in elementary school. Both of these things make the transition to middle school, sometimes in an intimidating place at first, where everything is new and big and you're switching classes all the time, feel so much more comfortable. They have an already established community, some normalcy, and a sense of belonging waiting for them. You probably picked up on some of the SEL vibes I just laid out there, but I want to just highlight for a second how uniquely situated our ensemble classrooms are to deliver some major life skill moments. In our classrooms, we are all working toward a common goal, which means the opportunities to teach listening and communication skills, teamwork, compassion, and empathy are endless. And we do it all through expression and art, because after all, music is an art form. But as someone who has never played a sport, I would be remiss if I didn't highlight for you the fact that learning an instrument is athletic. As my teacher in grad school told me once with a super charming English accent that I will not try to recreate here, we are truly the athletes of the small muscle groups. Hand-eye coordination, on top of the abundant benefits for brain development, are some truly wonderful advantages that come from playing an instrument. All 7 of us clearly care deeply about this opportunity for your kids. After all, we've dedicated our lives to creating these programs for a reason, but I'm imagining it might feel really good to hear from someone who's in your shoes. So I'm going to turn it over now to a Kipling parent, Violetta Marin.
Hello, everybody. My name is Violetta Marin, and I'm a parent whose children attend Kipling School in the 5th grade. I wanted to take a minute to talk to you about the band and the orchestra program in the Deerfield School District from the perspective of a parent. My boys have been enrolled in this program for the past 2 years. Andrei takes cello and participates in orchestra activities, and Victor takes clarinet and is a member of the band. This is an awesome program and a great opportunity for growth and learning for our children. In addition, it is really easy on the parents. That is, it requires just your passion. And it's offered for free in this district. My kids, together with their whole 3rd grade class, a couple of years ago, had the opportunity to be introduced to the program at the end of their 3rd grade during an activity where they interacted with other band and orchestra children and their teachers while being fitted for an instrument. If you'd like, this was like an instrument petting zoo. Kids had the opportunity to try the feel and the sound of each instrument and make their own choice. I know that this year this activity might be modified, but I'm sure that the message would be the same. That is, This is what my kids and I have learned that day and going forward, and I am quoting their teacher. The instrument that you pick is going to be your friend for life. This is such a wonderful message and lesson. I have zero musical training, and I was a bit apprehensive about how I would be able to help my kids in this journey. And it turns out it was very easy. All I had to do was support the kids and their teachers and their passion for music and carve time and place for them to practice. Rent instruments. This is very easy. Once you sign up, instruments are delivered to the schools, and the stores are close by, and they both offer a lot of support to troubleshoot any issues, replacements, materials. Set up some ground rules. My rule was that once they decide to be a part of a orchestra or a band program, they have to make a commitment for at least 1 year. As I said, this was my rule. I don't think it is imposed by the district, but I think it paid off. Occasionally remind them to practice. They become pretty good about this, and they're responsible and happy to practice, and I am happy to say that this is the only homework reminder in my household that is not met with some type of protest, but it is rather embraced enthusiastically. Some positive outcomes I have seen over the past couple of years in my kids. They learn to read music and play an instrument without this becoming a burden or a feeling of pressure or competitiveness. In fact, I would really like to thank and to commend their teachers for their passion and their patience with these little musicians. They really make it fun, and at the same time impose that this is a serious commitment. The kids are responsible for their instruments. They keep their practice schedule both at home and in school. They are more disciplined and more responsible in general. In a normal year, they would have concerts and open houses. And as a parent, you can really see the progress. It is very rewarding for the whole family. They're part of a team, and sometimes they make new friends. I think these kids would probably be together in band and orchestra throughout high school. They are getting better in math. No kidding. I mean, I think that part of learning to read music and play an instrument help with their development, their fine motor skills and coordination. It's a great way to develop their brains, and it's like learning a new language. It develops creativity, patience, and perseverance. You know, I have listened to my children practice a piece that is maybe a 30-second piece, but they take 20 minutes to practice the same piece over and over to get better. They are focused and calm, and this year playing music really helped to decrease the stress in general in our household and improve all our moods. I think that some family may discover a new passion and talent in their kid. This year, the teachers have found ways to continue teaching instruments using online platforms. If you're worried about it, yes, it works well. Lately, they've been teaching in person, and that works well as well. I cannot really say thank you enough for this wonderful opportunity. Our family experience was great, and it is a great one. And my children will continue taking band and orchestra next year in middle school. So I guess give it a try. Don't worry, you will not be sorry. Thank you. Bye.
Wow, that was amazing to hear from Violetta. Let's take a little recap of the instruments that we've gone through and to answer a question from one of our attendees. So in our instrument family for orchestra are the strings. So we have violin, viola, cello, and bass that were previously shown with our students. We have been going through with the band instruments, and we started with single reeds, and now we're going to go into some brass and percussion. So just to recap one more time, in orchestra are the string family with violin, viola, cello, and bass.
Hello, everybody. My name is Violetta.
Okay, so I will be telling you a little bit about our brass family. We kind of categorize them into two kind of separate things, high brass and low brass. Here we're going to be listening to them from highest to low, but a little bit about brass instruments. They are all created using a sort of vibration, but instead of a reed being the source of the vibration, it's actually the lips buzzing into a mouthpiece. And that is what creates the sound out of all of our brass instruments. So here are some of our student performers. We're gonna start with trumpets and performed by Elise.
Hi, my name's Elise. I play the trumpet. I'm in band, and I also do track, and I'm going to be playing a couple lines from Change Up.
And here is French horn by Juliana.
Hi, my name is Juliana. I play the French horn, and I'm in choir and the musical and band right now. And here is Adrenaline Engines.
Okay, and here is trombone performed by Colin.
Hello, my name is Callan and I play trombone here at Shepard, and I also run track outside. So I'm going to play a little bit of Adrenaline Engines, one of our songs.
And here's the baritone by Ethan.
Hi, my name is Ethan Chodoroff. I'm a 7th grader and I play the baritone. Some things I do that aren't band related are cross country and track and field. Now I'm going to play part of The Entertainer by Scott Joplin.
Okay, and here's Devin on the tuba.
Devin, I play the tuba. I like to bike and to swim, and here is Ode to Joy by Beethoven.
All right, so the next steps is selecting an instrument. So as you'll see here, we have created a very comprehensive website that is basically a one-stop shop for all of your questions and anything else that you might want to know about band and orchestra. So on this website, you will find a bunch of different instrument demos and videos explaining each instrument and each of the instrument families again. So if you forgot from tonight which instrument family you might be interested in, go to the website and check it out. We have made videos for that, and we also have additional information for you to explore. We also really encourage you, if you have an instrument in your head right now that you think that you're going to choose, we encourage you to explore all of the different instruments, because hearing other instruments might open your eyes to a different instrument, and you will be able to try that out. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So yes, go to the website for anything exploration-wise in band and orchestra. Next, you'll also find a form there that you will fill out to let us know your interest in joining either band or orchestra. You will choose your top 3 instrument choices there, and you'll also select your school and homeroom teacher so that we know where to find you. And then once you have submitted this form, that means that you're roughly signed up for band and orchestra. It's not a set in stone absolute commitment, but it does tell us that you're interested and that we will expect to see you next fall. So I mentioned in the last slide that we would have this optional tryout experience. We have created a safe and optional experience to try out the top choice instrument of your child's choosing. So for example, it's a little bit different between band and orchestra. So I'm just going to touch on band for a second. On the band side, they are only allowed to try out their top choice again. And this is mostly due to because it's hard to sanitize all these instruments very thoroughly in between. So they won't even really be trying the instrument, but they will be trying the mouthpiece. Now, this is very important because sometimes one instrument mouthpiece might not be a great fit for a student. For example, if someone decides that they would like to play trumpet, but their embouchure, which is their mouth shape, is just not quite right for that mouthpiece, we'd be able to figure that out there and switch them to an instrument that they'll be more successful on in band or orchestra. So this is an opportunity to figure that out and hopefully not have to switch instruments further down the road. We are also taking all of the top mitigations and responsibilities for keeping everyone safe. So we have just as many mitigations, if not more, than we do normally in the band day. We are thoroughly sanitizing all of the mouthpieces between each student, and yeah, it will be very safe. And I forgot to mention this, we are going to do this all during the school day. So there's not an extra time where you have to come before or after school for this. It'll all be done during the school day in accordance with their classroom teachers.
On the orchestra side for sanitation, we use Lysol wipes to disinfect the areas of high contact on the instrument, like the fingerboard and the bow. So we will be cleaning those in between our instrument tryouts. Now, to answer Sarah's question, what if our child selects an instrument, but it's not a good fit in 5th grade? Is there an opportunity to try another instrument in 6th grade? So we want to have our students stick with the instrument that they first choose, because it's really a lot easier if you stick with the one and go through with it. But that's why we're having our instrument tryouts, because if it's really not easy to get a sound on that instrument, it might be a little bit easier on a different one. So that one that you end up on, we highly encourage you to stick through all the way through your band and orchestra experience.
Okay, and now we'll be talking about kind of the last little section in our band family. So here we are talking about percussion, and when they do percussion as 4th or 5th graders, they will be doing both snare drum and mallet instruments. So in their kits, they actually have a snare drum and the bell kits, which they will both be learning in their band class. But don't worry, the kits also come with a pad to cover their snare drums, so whenever they practice at home, it won't be blaring through the house. But here in this, we have a unpitched snare drum, a regular snare drum, and the vibraphone.
Hi, we are some of the percussionists for the 7th grade band. I'm Evan. I'm in track right now, and I'll be doing the bass drum part for this little piece for you guys, but on a snare drum because we can't bring the bass up here.
Hi, I'm Ben. I don't really do anything outside of school that's school related except for this. I play the normal snare drum part on a normal snare drum.
Hi, I'm Mac, and I play the vibes, aka the mallets, and I'm in D&D.
Alright, ready? All right. 1, 2, 3.
let's take some time for a really good question for everyone. So what if your child is currently right now in the virtual learning program? Will they be able to do a trial run on a band or orchestra student instrument? So let's have both from the band and orchestra side take it over.
At least on my end, I'm not sure if you are a South Park Wilmot or Kipling Walden student, but if you're a South Park Wilmot, I am definitely happy to stay before or after school, whatever is most convenient for you to find a time to try that out. I only said not before after school, only because I want to respect your time, but I'm more than happy to stick around to help you out.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to us and through email, and we'd be happy to discuss that with you further.
Any other questions? All right, so going on with renting and purchasing instruments, we really highly recommend that you rent an instrument or that you have a high quality instrument to play. If you go to the Music Center of Deerfield, they have all of the high quality instruments there ready to go. When I talk about a high quality instrument, what that means is it's an instrument that is easily repairable if it happens to break or it goes out of tune or needs a little bit of adjusting. A high quality instrument is meant to be adjusted, meant to be worked on, and meant to be repaired. A lot of the instruments that you'll find on Amazon that are very cheap one-time purchases, the problem with those instruments is they're very brittle. And when you go to work on them, they either just break outright or they don't repair easily. So a lot of repair shops will just outright refuse to repair those instruments. Now, we don't want to scare you away from maybe using a relative's or an older instrument. So if you do have an instrument already, or if you have one in mind, please reach out to one of us and we would be happy to take a look at it or decide whether that would be a good fit for your student. The only reason we say this is also just for their success. Some of these cheaper instruments don't sound as good and they will not be able to get a better tone quality out of them. So we're always looking to make sure that they're the most successful in their instrument. That's why we really highly recommend going with a rental. There is also, as you heard before, there are no fees in participating in band or orchestra. All of that is covered by the district. However, there is the rental fee that you will set up either with the rental shop, or if you have your own instrument, that is free. The only other small fee is really just supplies for the instrument. So we do require a method book, some cleaning supplies, and then instrument specific things like reeds and valve oil and band side, or for orchestra, they have rosin, shoulder rests, and et cetera. And those are all very inexpensive one-time purchases that, we do require you to have. So this is a little timeline going through the rest of this year up to the next fall. So from now until next Friday, May 7th, we encourage you to go and explore the website, view all the different instruments, check out all the videos, and fill out the form. And that will be due on Friday, May 7th. You are able to turn it in after that, but we'd really like to know by May 7th. And that will also allow you to sign up for the optional tryout experience. This will be, again, optional during the school day unless you need to meet with us after school. And then between June and July, we recommend that you go out and look for the rental instrument. Again, the Music Center of Deerfield is a phenomenal resource. But if you'd like some other options, please let us know and we can get back to you with that. And then they'll be ready to start in next fall.
Before we head into our Q&A, we'd like to take just a moment to showcase a visual representation of our programs. Here are a couple of pictures of lessons as well as performances. And Ms. Biasiello hit on a great point about community, and we love performing for our community. This is one of the things that we've missed so much over these past couple of months. And we try to offer a variety of different types of performances to our community and for our musicians. So we love to combine schools within the elementary setting. We like to combine elementary and middle school groups in concert, as well as bridging the gap from middle school to even high school. So we have a very collaborative culture when it comes to performance. We like to dress up, we like to dress down, and we're very much looking forward to making this something we do in the future when it's appropriate to do so.
So I know we've talked a lot about our email and the website, so I am going to put in the chat for you available to everyone. First, our website so you can copy, paste, write it down, do what you need to. And I'll also put our elementary instrumental email. Let's just make sure that went. I'll take a few seconds, and I can copy and paste, do this again. And a nice reminder too that this is all recorded. So even if you jumped on 15 minutes in and had questions about strings, this is going to be recorded and you can view all of it. And also the website has all of this information too. So I'll type it one more time. And then let me provide the email. Okay, and so now this is our time too for any additional Q&A. And we'll take a few minutes, address anything that we need to.
If I can just jump in for a second. This, like I said, this is the first time we've ever done a webinar for this, and it's a beautiful night outside, so perhaps not everybody who would normally attend this was able to attend. So like we said at the beginning, the recording, the webinar is being recorded, and we will send out the link just as soon as possible. But I also would ask for you to reach out to your friends and neighbors who also have children in 4th grade and let them know what you've learned today so that we can get everybody. In a typical year, it may be hard to believe, but 80% of our 4th graders take a band or an orchestra instrument. And so in our previous emails out and surveys, that was about the number that we were getting for this year as well. So we'll have hundreds of kids playing musical instruments by the time the new school year rolls around. So if you would share this information with your friends, that would be great.
We do have some questions rolling in, which is amazing. Time to just process, and let's go through a few. Okay, so how much time away from class is it for lessons? What will they miss from their schedule? So let's have Mr. Grossberg start, and then Mr. Schwartz, you can take it over.
Okay, great question. How much time away from class is it, and what will they miss from the schedule? So the schedule rotates for a lesson. So let's say a child had their lessons on Mondays. The first Monday, perhaps it would be from 9 to 9:30. Then a week from then, it would be from 9:30 to 10, and a week after that, 10 to 10:30. So in that way, they will end up missing 1.5 hour slot about once every 7 to 8 weeks. So in terms of the material they would miss, the teachers are very well aware of this. This has been the method that we've done this for as long as I've been there, and probably 20 years before that. So they would just huddle with the child and remind them, or give them some extra papers before they leave and remind them that they have 2 questions due that night. But in general, they'll be back in class and their teacher can help them get caught up.
Yeah, I'll jump off Mr. Grossberg's answer really quickly. We do try to share the dates ahead of time for many months in advance, so they should anticipate knowing what their schedule will be like over the course of a couple months, if not, in fact, for the whole school year. And if for some reason there is a special project or presentation that's going on, I've been very flexible, as well as the rest of my colleagues, with finding an additional time to meet with the students. We all schedule makeup slots during our day where, if need be, we can swap it for another time or maybe another day that week if the occasion arises.
All right, awesome. Okay, this one, I think I could maybe get it. Does clarinet or saxophone have a bigger mouthpiece? Well, maybe Mr. Zmuda or Mr. Schwartz, you should take it over. Just kidding.
So, sorry, I'll hop in here. So the clarinet and the saxophone has a slightly bigger mouthpiece, but it's only very, very slightly bigger. And the reed is also just slightly bigger, but, you know, there's very few, you know, differences between the two when you're actually playing them. So that would be a perfect thing to try out in that tryout experience. So great question.
Yeah, and if I can jump on just for a moment as well, the difference between those two won't be necessarily the point where the instrument meets the mouth, but rather how it is to hold the instrument. So for the saxophone, it's a much larger instrument where the hands are spread a little bit longer, and there's more of a need for those hands to reach and access some of those lower keys as well. So not so much in making the sound, but in terms of the carriage of the instrument, you'll see more of a difference.
Thank you. Okay, let's keep going with them. This is great. How much time does my child need to practice daily? Mr. Grossberg, why don't you start with this one?
I've heard a lot of different philosophies about this. A nice one that's easy to remember I've heard is 1 minute for every year old they are, 3 to 4 times a week. So if your child's 10, if they practice 10 minutes a day, 3 to 4 times a week, that's a really, really great answer. Some people, they can get their work done. I would basically say what I tell my students is set a goal and work towards that goal. You might find that you could accomplish that goal in 5 minutes that day. So anybody else have a different philosophy than me?
I know I like to tell my students, because I had an old teacher when I was growing up that said, only practice on the days that you eat. And I was like, I eat every day. So you practice a little bit every day, because that's how we build that habit, and that's how you get better and better. We surely don't expect 4th or 5th grade students to be practicing an hour or 2 hours every day, but making time like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, as much as they can, as long as they get the instrument in their hands, that's what really matters.
And I'll jump in one more time. I'm so sorry for continuing to talk. But with the students beginning from scratch, we see the students learn at different rates at the beginning of the year. So what may take one student 15 minutes to practice a skill, it might need students who are in the same group may need twice as much time. So I certainly look forward to more of a goal-based practice, and I try to ensure that to my students that everyone learns at a different rate. So, I think students try to compare the rate of growth right off the bat with their peers, and we definitely stress, it takes everyone a little bit different time, and what one student may get quickly, one may need to put a little more time with their learning.
Okay, let's keep going because they keep coming in. This is so fantastic. Mr. Friel, this one's for you. So if I have a cello, would I bring the cello back and forth to school or leave it at school?
So in 4th and 5th grade, we do bring our cellos to and from school. So the only orchestra instrument that gets left at home and has instruments at school is the double bass. So only double bass students need to bring their bow back and forth to school, and their music and rosin as well. But for cello students, they do have to bring their cello to and from our lessons. But Carrie and Aimee, if you can confirm for me, once they get to middle school, they do have cellos at the school. Is that correct?
Once you get to middle school, we provide cellos for the students. So you don't have to bring cellos to school in middle school. That's correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go to another one. Let's go. Is it possible for a student to participate with both instruments too, with band and orchestra? Let's have Mr. Zmuda and Mr. Friel take it over.
Yes, it is possible. However, it does provide a little bit more of a challenge, but actually both me and Mr. Friel have a student who is in band and orchestra currently, and he is remote, and he is very successful in both. And, he does work a little bit harder, but, like Mr. Friel said, just that 5 or 10 minutes on an instrument per day is really what you need at this age. So if he practices 10 minutes of oboe and 10 minutes of viola per day, that's 20 minutes. Maybe every other day or every day, it's really up to the students. And I know it's hard to practice every day, but things come at you, but he is very successful at both. However, it is a little bit more of a challenge. I don't know, Mr. Friel, anything to add?
Yes, certainly the practicing every day is a high expectation. We certainly don't expect them, but that is the standard. If they really genuinely want to get better and better at their instrument, they develop really great practice habits at a young age, because then it sticks all the way through. But for doing both band and orchestra, it is a lot harder. It is a bigger practice commitment, but it is definitely possible and very, very rewarding.
One thing I thought of really quick before we move on to the next one is I have seen skills that this student brings from orchestra to band, and I'm hopefully vice versa. But I've seen a lot of that, and there's a lot of overlap between the two. So they might learn something in band, they can carry that knowledge right over to orchestra, and for the most part, it is very similar.
So I know that we're getting to the end of the questions, and I just want to address this one, that the webinar will be available on the district site. It's going to take just some time to process, but that's why we wanted to record that so that you could look through any of the Q&A, listen to the instruments again, visit the website, and if you want to enjoy the evening, we understand as well. So yes, that is what we're going to be doing. Okay, let's go through a few more. Does the teacher come to the student, or do the students go to the classroom themselves? Let's have Mr. Schwartz and elementary side kind of explain.
Yeah, so it sounds like travel to and from the lesson. One of the great things about being in band orchestra is just building that responsibility and that ownership. So for me, and I think my colleagues may be similar, we have the schedule posted everywhere in the building, in the classroom, on the stage, wherever, and we hope that the student checks, the time, leaves a couple minutes early before the lesson begins to arrive at the time of their lesson, and then we'll wrap up and they'll just walk on back. And if anyone else wants to jump in with that.
Yeah, occasionally when students forget their lessons, we do pop into the classroom and say, hey, come on time for lessons. So that does happen as well. But we do want students mainly to be responsible and to come to their lesson at the time that it is.
How would you practice percussion at home? That's a really good one. What about you, Mr. Zmuda?
You would practice it just like you would any other instrument. However, the nice thing I find about percussion is you do take that bell kit and pad, at least for, I'm pretty sure this is equal across the district, but you take that drum pad and bell set home and you leave it at home. So what I like to do is just set it up once, leave it in your bedroom or somewhere where you want to practice, leave it in the corner, just pull it out, practice for 10 minutes, and then you can just slide it right on back to the corner and it's out of the way. That's what I like to do with my percussion. I actually have it back here. And it's a very easy thing to practice at home, meaning what do you practice at home? You can practice your band music, just like with any instrument though, you can practice your favorite music too. You can find a song that you're listening to and try to drum along with it or try to play along with it. I find that's very fun to practice too. And I have a lot of enjoyment with that. You build a lot of really good musicianship skills by doing that. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, and I could pop in really quickly in terms of the kit. There are two things that make a sound in the kit. One is the keyboard or the bells, and think of just like a doorbell or something. Hopefully not a really loud doorbell, but just kind of a tinkling chime that's not like a huge crashing sound or a drum set. And the snare pad that goes with it is a pad that is not built to make a lot of sound. It's pretty quiet, like as if you're drumming on like a coaster or something like that. So between the two of them, we leave all the loud stuff at school, so we get to hear it, but the students get to have something that they can transfer some of those skills at home and then just bring them back to class when they leave.
Awesome, thank you for all this. So this is a little different between the elementary and the middle school for where is your instrument stored during the day. I can speak on the middle school end really quickly, that on the middle school end, we do have instrument lockers with large instruments, small instruments, kind of everywhere in between. But I know on the elementary side, it's just slightly different. So let's have Mr. Schwartz talk about band, and then Mr. Friel, you can talk about orchestra.
Yeah, great question. We have storage, at least I'm speaking from the Kipling and Walden standpoint. We have storage built into the stage where students in band are able to leave that and are encouraged to leave it on the stage for their lesson. I know that I've heard from my classroom teachers, at least at Kipling, that they don't want instruments in the hallway by the front door because they kind of get big and bulky and could be a tripping hazard. So we ask our students to drop them off on the stage during the school day and then just to pick them up when they are done. I know for Kipling as well, Mr. Friel has his, he's got a set of storage cabinets in the hallway in Main Street. So every school's got a little bit of a different location, but it'll be stored either near the instructional space or somewhere in route, not in the locker or outside of the classroom, at least from our side of the district.
Yeah, to answer that on the orchestra side, it is very different at all four of the schools. So South Park, because traditionally we have our lessons in a little bit smaller of a room, we're now relocated onto the stage. So we encourage students to bring their instruments and store them on the stage. as well as right outside their classrooms at least South Park, because it is a little bit wider and we have plenty of space for those students. But South Park is really the only one that has that space issue. With Kipling, we have Main Street. With Walden, we store our instruments on the stage. And with Wilmot, we also store our instruments in the NPR room where we have our lessons.
Okay, we got a pretty popular question coming in, especially for Mr. Grossberg, about what about bass guitars, electric guitars at the middle school? So what goes on there?
There are no, there is not band music written for guitar or bass guitar, but fortunately, we do have a jazz band, and that's the perfect place for those instruments. Now, I will say that the people that get first crack at those spots are the people that play in the band or orchestra already. So if I have somebody that plays trumpet, but they also play guitar, they're going to be the first ones to get the spots in the jazz band. Same thing with piano, keyboard people as well. Same thing with bass guitar. It also helps if they play bass, string bass in the orchestra, they would be automatically. There is no audition at Caruso. Shepard might run it a little differently, but there is no audition to be in the jazz band. You just have to play a band or in the band, and you're in. So we like having all kinds of people in our jazz band.
I think this wraps up most of our Q&A for right now, but please at any time email us at the emails we provided below, that we're more than happy to talk with you, answer any further questions, explore the website, and we're so incredibly excited for you to become part of our band and orchestra family and create just this community of love and appreciation for the music and arts. And so thank you again for joining us this evening, and have an absolutely wonderful evening.